Today, I'm gonna show you the most important chart that you have to watch right now to see Bitcoin actually enter back into a sustainable uptrend. And only when we are going in this specific pattern, you should go all in back into the market. Let's go. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in here on this Saturday. I almost want to say Sunday. So we go directly into the DXY chart. Here on the DXY, yesterday we closed here roughly, really close to 99% and 99 points, but ran into here that former support level, which is acting now currently as resistance. So by Monday, when the markets are opening, I would expect a further downwards move, especially after the news broke yesterday in my evening that now one of the officers working at the Fed came out and said rate cuts could happen as early as in the next meeting in July. So there is now a huge probability that we're actually going to get one of the two rate cuts for this year already in July. The probability also for that has now risen when we would go to the CME watch tool. You can see it, and now the probability is way higher than it was before. It was, I think, almost at, again, 0 or 80% chance that we're not getting a rate cut. Now that has shifted, of course, and I think by Monday, when we get some more confirmation bias from the Fed themselves, that could then again have impact on these forecasts, and of course also on the dollar index. When something like this is publicly announced, then expect that here the dollar will start falling to the downside. Now on the Bitcoin chart, before I show you the chart that you actually should be watching, I want that you also pay attention right now to the Bollinger Bands, because the Bollinger Bands here on the daily chart can help you to understand if we actually go lower or if we continue and bounce here back to the upside. Currently, the lower band of the Bollinger Band is slightly pointing down, while the middle band is going sideways and the upper band is slightly pointing to the upside. So as long as you have the Bollinger Bands wide open and not all of the bands are pointing to the downside, there is right now probable cause that we get a relief bounce, basically what we are seeing today here a little bit already. But for that to be sustainable, we have to regain the mid-range of the Bollinger Band, the middle band, here at $105,700 approximately. Now look at this exact level, $105,650 actually. That is so close to that major resistance level at $105,750. And that explains why we are actually were rejected from that level. So because it was not holding on for a long time as support. So over here, where we tried to stay above that level, we failed. And then here again, we failed. Then we got here now a retest a couple of days ago, and that failed too. So once we're above that level and holding above the middle band of the Bollinger Band, we should get a sustained uptrend. So just something that you should keep an eye on. Then on the 1 hourly chart, so here in the absolute shortest, basically for today and tomorrow more or less, I'm looking here on the 1 hourly chart. So here in the next coming hours, we need a break above $104,300 to flip the ribbon back into an uptrend, because here with the massive drop to the downside, we lost the uptrend here in that drop. And not only that, we also lost the point of control on the VPVR here at $104,680, and the biggest range on the volume profile should have given us support, but instead we broke straight under it and retested it as resistance. So now this is confirmed resistance, and this is not good. This is not good. So we need here some more follow through basically today before the daily close to at least retest this level again, then slightly maybe pull down, consolidate just below it, and then by tomorrow break to the upside once the indicators have cooled down here in that consolidation period. So if this is not happening and we just come up here, retest the EMA ribbon, fake out, come down, expect that we come back here into that big support range. And now here is another problem on now the 1 hourly time frame. So it is, of course, a short-term time frame. Now put in a lower low than this low here. So not this one here. So as long as we are above that one, we are fine, you know. So, but this is already a warning sign to me to be cautious here and not to jump right now with all my money back into the market. I build slowly positions. Don't get me wrong. I'm slowly building positions here, but I'm not going crazy yet. I'm not going crazy. I want to see how this is panning out here over the weekend. Because it could happen that we get rejected from here, come back down here, lose that big support area over here, and then we put in a lower low than this one, and then we go sub $100,000. So, and that's something that I absolutely don't want to see, and also not to be stuck in trades if that would be happening. So for that reason, I'm really cautious, you know. So I scalp here and there, you know, a couple dollars. But I'm not going crazy, you know. I'm not going full size, into the market right now. I'm really, really cautious with that. With spot positions, it's a little bit different. I was speaking before on leverage. Spot, I'm hitting heavy here and there because, for example, on Bitcoin, I don't care about another 5% to the downside. You know, I really don't. You know, it's 5%. But on other coins, it's different, you know. So, but like, Ethereum also, I don't really care, another 10, 20%. Solana the same, but there's other coins, you know, where I actually care. But for that reason, I wait before I pounce here, rather a couple more hours to get confirmation. And the confirmation will come in once we are getting here above the EMA ribbon and close here a couple hourly candles, or we are going all the way up here and reclaim the point of control. Then on this daily chart, so now I show you the most important chart that you actually have to watch, and the associated correlation between the price and the RSI. So we had here a bearish divergence that has played out. So where we were here bouncing up and down, but we were creating already here. So here was our all-time high, so the higher high, and here we had now a lower high. So that was already a warning sign. And then we came back to this trend line, and then we were breaking it now to the downside, convincingly to the downside. At the same time, the RSI was also not making a higher high compared to this high from the all-time high. So, and now we see that this bearish divergence actually played out. So maybe it has already completely played out, and that's it. And we are not going any lower from here. But if we would go lower, then most likely this support box could become a target. I'm not saying that we have to reach it, because we have still support at $100,000. So here at $101,400. So there is definitely some support. But if we lose that support, then we retrace that whole candle. And that means price will at least get close to this box or even get into this box, and then we get a massive bounce, and then we are getting the momentum to push here into new all-time highs. So just something that you should pay attention to. And the first, here comes the really important part. The first major sign that Bitcoin is going now back into an uptrend, a sustained uptrend, based on the daily chart, is when you see the RSI breaking this downward sloping trend line. So once we are breaking this downward sloping trend line here to the upside, and the RSI goes above it, that is your sign. Or the price breaks again above this upward sloping trend line. So either one of them has to happen, you know, either one of them has to happen. And with that, you will have the confirmation bias that you need to get on the higher time frames into positions. So that's the only chart that you really have to pay attention right now when it comes to Bitcoin on the higher time frames. If you're scalping, doing like day trading, it's a little bit different. But if you're like a long-term holder or just have swing positions, or at least positions that you hold over a couple of weeks, this is what you have to watch right now. This is all what you need. And while we're talking about trading, guys, here on Blofin is a war of whales going on. You can still register for the competition to share here a prize of over $4 million, guys, over $4 million. Plus you can win also a Tesla Cybertruck. And if you sign up on Blofin with my link in the pinned comment below and the description below, not only will we trade in this competition, but if you deposit at least $500, I will let you into my new Alpha trading group on Telegram, where I will handhold you, turn $500 into $10,000. You can go back on my channel and look where I turned $100,000 into $1 million on ZoomX. So this is not like a rare occasion, so that that I'm able to do that, or this like coincidence that I can do that, to flip these amounts. No, I have done this so many times off camera. I can't even count it anymore, So, but I want to do it with you guys together, that you actually benefit from that and that you make the money. So I want that you make the money. That's for you, So, and that's why I'm telling you, use the link in the pinned comment below. You get also still $5,000 up to $5,000 in sign up and deposit bonuses. Again, if you deposit at least $500, you can then follow the steps in the pinned comment and the description below to get access to this Telegram group. Go and check this out. And so here on the liquidation levels happened also something really surprising, and that was that we now took out the whole over-leveraged liquidity on the long side. As you can see here, all these bars, that was the over-leveraged long liquidity, completely swept. So there are no high-leveraged longs anymore. Here are now new over-leveraged shorts building up, and we still have all the way up here the concentrated liquidity of the over-leveraged shorts that are still, in my opinion, it's stupid to still have a short open from all the way up here, So this is just retarded because they made already insane gains. They made on 100x leverage is already 7x, So imagine if you would have done that with $100,000, which is absolutely retarded to go 100x on $100,000, But they would have made now $700,000. Why do you still want to hold this? Do you really think in a bull run that Bitcoin will do this? So that you maybe get to 1 million, or to 3 million. I don't believe that, So I don't know who that is, who's short there, from that level. But I would have closed it most likely on that bounce candle here, to be honest. I would have closed it on that bounce candle, and I would have made already 4%, like 4x, more than enough. So you don't have to go crazy, But also 100x is anyway crazy. But regardless of that, the 50 is still here in a turn momentum to return here back to the upside and give us soon a golden cross. So that can potentially happen as early as Tuesday if price comes back up here by then and reclaims here $106,000. So then we should get a golden cross by Tuesday, and that would mean this death cross was a fake out, and that whole move here was just designed to shake you out. So if we are coming up here now to the 50 and we get rejected, then we could get a steeper liquidity grab, so in $102,000, $100,000. That area is what I'm looking at first. We're looking at the liquidation heat map, so now I have to switch this again. Then also here you see the high leverage liquidity is concentrated here at $110,000. If I go to the 2 weeks chart, maybe that's a little bit brighter. You see here, there is the concentration, 110, 111,000, and everything what was concentrated below us was taken already. That's why we are moving up now, because market makers understand, okay, it's not really worth it to push price lower, because there is some liquidity, but there's not the concentrated liquidity that makes them so much money every time when they drive the price down. So what they're doing, they're reversing it to the upside to come now for these levels, for 109,000, 110, 111,000, to take that liquidity. Then they turn it around again, wherever the liquidity is then sitting to the downside. So, but for now, they have taken this. It took them long enough, So when you look here at this, it took them roughly, here 4 days just to get down here into that range, So only to break into this here. And then they needed another day to push all the way down here to take this. So they needed 5 days to get here. So that is a long time for a market maker, so to come down here. So, but they could have technically crashed this in one go, but they didn't. So they did it slowly, which was of course not good for our altcoins. They were just bleeding like crazy. It would have been better. They would have done it in one go for altcoins at least. In one go, rip off the bandage and then it's fine. So, but instead they were. Creating here range, then push it up again and then down, so and taking every time liquidity. So, and now, like I said, liquidity is to the upside. That's where we are going. On the MDX algo scalp gradients, so here, potentially early reversal signs is what I'm seeing here, potentially on this 4 hour chart. So, and what I mean by that is, first of all, we are above the daily open. That's one of the reasons why we're pushing to the upside, because that means that the price has bullish momentum. And after these two reversal indicators, usually we get a bounce to the upside. So the problem is we don't know how high, and if it's just a relief bounce and then we come back down, but we usually get a bounce higher than from where the drop was coming. So and that would mean at least $105,000. If you count here this candle, that would mean $106,000 approximately. And also the direct indicator is turning around. So you can see that here clearly that we are turning around, potentially going back to the upside also with that indicator. It will still take another 3-4 candles to be sure about this. But one indication for me that we are potentially here on the verge of a bigger reversal back to the upside will be when we are reclaiming this upward sloping trend line and closing 1, 2, 3 candles above that trend line again. And the direct indicator is then somewhere here in the middle. So that will give me then enough confirmation to know that we are back not only in that pattern, but this was just another deviation, and that we are now going at least to test the resistance of the downward sloping trend line of that bullish triangle again, that symmetrical triangle. Here on the daily chart with our L12 count, also here nothing has really changed, besides that yesterday, this here could have been maybe the low of the two of the second wave, but we don't know yet. We need to see what's going to happen here with today's daily close. If we are closing above the 0.786 level here at $104,000 approximately, and keep going higher by tomorrow, then most likely this was the two, and we are then now starting to get into the next expansion phase, which is the biggest wave. So when we're then looking at the Bitcoin dominance, so the Bitcoin dominance is currently pulling down a little bit here in that big resistance area. I'm not really surprised about this. I don't want to talk any more about the dominance until we're actually breaking this falling wedge pattern. So for now, that we're going down in the dominance is good because altcoins are getting a small relief here. The total free market cap is scratching on that $815 billion level, which could be confirmed resistance if we are staying below that today. So I hope we get here another $1.7 billion to close above and push back to the upside, because at the same time, this is also the mid-range level of this downward sloping parallel channel. So you see we have here convergences with that horizontal line and that downward sloping trend line. So you want to definitely see that we are getting above this to regain the mid-range of that parallel channel. And by doing that, we are getting another attempt here at $836 billion on the total free market cap. So if we get above that, we go back to 900 and higher. All my altcoins are actually traded on Bybit, guys, just that you remember. And Bybit is coming back to Europe, so I'm gonna share with you everything what you need to know about that tomorrow, after tomorrow. I need to speak to my Bybit manager. But in the meantime, you can still sign up on Bybit. If you're not in Europe, don't forget there is a link in the pinned comment and in the description below. You get up to $30,000 in sign-up bonuses and deposit bonuses. And if you're eligible, you can also get a Bybit debit card, where you get up to 10% cash back. So don't forget, if you would go with that card, go and buy a watch like that, and this watch costs $30,000, and you use the card, you get $3,000 back. So now you save $3,000 on that watch. And if you're even smarter and you buy that watch, for example, in Dubai, it's tax-free. The watch is tax-free. So you save even more money, so you save another 20%, so then potentially 10 to 20% usually. Add this on top of that. So now you got a watch for $30,000, but you paid only $21,000 to $24,000. And then imagine you leave Dubai and you go back to wherever you live and you resell the watch for the retail price, so you made now a really good chunk of money. You have sometimes to think about stuff like that, and I do this actually a lot, so when I travel, let me put it this way. So when I travel to Dubai and I have that money on the side to do it, then I'm usually doing it, and then I flip something, so because this is like nice money for another holiday or something. So just keep that in mind, So if you want to do stuff like that, use a card like this, So, and again, the link for that is in the comment below and in the description. Ethereum. most likely also here a deviation below that bullish pennant here. We're gonna get confirmation also here by tomorrow, most likely. Why by tomorrow? Because today we are putting in that buy signal on the stochastic RSI. The RSI is already going up here, and the MACD is still printing super shallow red candles here. Nothing crazy, nothing like this here. Look at this and look at this. So this is so different, you know, in size of these candles here on the histogram. So that told me already a couple of days ago, you know. So when we were already here, I knew already, you know, even if we are getting a continuation, it will be not really low, you know, so 5-10%, something like this. So, and this is exactly what happened. So now we need to reclaim here the point of control on the VPVR at $2,517. Once we are seeing that reclaim, we're going to get continuation to the upside. If we get a rejection, then most likely we also come here into that green box at $2,260 approximately. Solana bounced from that green area that I told you guys. I said, if we're getting here into this zone, or lucky enough we get down here, buy as much as you can. So here, $135. That was the bottom level of that falling wedge. And we are seeing here that downward sloping trend line on these dashed lines. And since then, we're just going up. So now the next level that we have to look at will be $146 on this 4-hourly chart, and $49. Once we're breaking above both of these levels, expect that we are going straight to $157 or $165. So why? Because also here stochastic just printed a buy signal, MACD about to print a buy signal, RSI going heavily to the upside here with momentum, already at 43 almost. So yeah, so it's not too late to enter this right now if you want to trade this. You know, you would be not late for this, but remember, this is more of a long-term trade that I'm having here. $200 is the target, 43.5% from the current entry level, still like 40.6%, 40.6%. With 7.6% stop loss. So don't go crazy on leverage here, guys. Not like 50, 100x, you know, don't do that. Not even like 20x, you know, I would do maximum 5, you know, on a trade like that. You know, if it goes up 40%, I make like 200% on the trade. You know, that's enough. Then let's talk about SUI quick. So SUI is here also in the falling wedge pattern. What happens in a falling wedge pattern? The falling wedge pattern is a reversal pattern that usually means that the downwards trend is coming to an end because we are getting squeezed at falling wedge pattern, and at some point that coil is starting to spring to the upside. So, and we're not far away from that, even on the daily chart. When I go to the daily chart, when you look here on the indicators, if it's loading, okay, it's not loading. So, but yeah, the indicators they're also definitely showing you that we are ready to go back to the upside. Most likely, the first sign will be that breakout out of that falling wedge here at around $2.80. The next one is Render. Also here, falling wedge pattern shaping up right now. Here also 4-hourly chart, looking pretty similar to SUI. RSI going up, bullish divergence here in the RSI. So how do I know that? Because so here is upward sloping RSI, while we have downward sloping price. That is a bullish divergence. So that bullish divergence is potentially playing out here right now, or starting to play out. So for a render position, it would be a good moment to get into one if you don't have one already. And I would say that that bullish divergence will have been completed when we reach $3.32 approximately. So that would be for me on that bullish divergence the target. But at the same time, we are breaking out of the falling wedge pattern, and the falling wedge pattern has a target of $4.20. That's where we would go back to if we reach the technical target of that falling wedge pattern. Guys, that's already for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure that you smash up the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and I see you with more profit tomorrow.